Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Relative Roads podcast. I'm your host, Mike Haley, and let's start with this. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy promoting this podcast. I thought it would be. I thought my long list of social media friends would be very supportive and repost and share and do all those things, but they don't. I don't know why. It upset me. I'm not going to lie. At first it upset me, and I called a friend. His name's David, and he's been here since the beginning, even before that. And he's there to talk sense into me. And I called him, and I literally said, David, I need you to talk me off a ledge. He said, what's going on? I said, listen, I don't understand people. You know, all these people on my Facebook, they say they love things, they love, and yet there's no sharing of my podcast. What is it? What am I doing wrong? I want to say something. And he says, don't. And he's right. I don't need to say anything. But I am right now, kind of, through this little moment. Listen, I just need your help. Share my podcast, okay? And know where I'm coming from. This is where I'm coming from. We are in this together. You and your story are as important as the celebrities you admire. You are a role model. You are an amazing person, and whatever your baggage is, whatever you're going through, we're with you. And if you need to reach out and you want to get on here and you want to tell your story and you want to connect, or you hear somebody whose stories you connect with, let me know. I got your back, man. That's what this is about. And if you people could please do me a solid and share this podcast, I think the world would be a better place. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for at least tuning in and hearing me out. Now, the next guest, this episode. She's a professional mermaid. She's a mother. She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She's a forward thinker. And she's the wife of Nurse John, who was in the last episode. Pay attention. Ashley is amazing. She can do it all. And she's such an uplifting spirit. I think you'll feel that from the very beginning of this episode. And I encourage you, listen to it all the way through. There's some valuable information. If you're a new mother, or if you're a mother at all, if you're going through relationship changes, listen to Ashley's story. I think you'll benefit from it. I think her tenacity and her loyalty is an inspiration, and her relationship with John, it inspired me, and it gave me a lot of hope as far as the community is concerned. I'm feeling good. I got some great people on my list of friends, and you should too. And I think you should be on my list. So hit me up, give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Just don't shoot me. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you professional mermaid, entrepreneur, Ashley.
I'm just a wandering nomad out on the interstate. Eventually all these roads just end up looking the same. And now it's time for another episode of Relative Road.
You are?
I am.
Why? Why are you so proud of me?
Because it's so put together and you look so professional with all
Thanks.
your gear and everything and your intro and your music.
Thanks.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. You know, it's my little promise to myself, really.
Yeah.
You know, because seeing as how we've known each other in the acting world, and like how much that meant to me, maybe it didn't mean the same to you, but like that was a big part of who I was.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
That was all of who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like whenever I stopped being part of the improv group, I felt like somebody died.
yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah, there was that playful. Yeah, it was like almost
you
like getting
lose a
used to my daycare, and then I had to move
Yeah.
and go to a different daycare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I missed my playmates. I missed the exercises, the therapeutic exercises we would do, which is just improv games.
Yeah, just to force like the gunk out of your mind
Yeah.
for a little bit. Yeah, that was a beautiful time.
It was healthy.
Hell yeah.
It was so healthy.
And we were so good.
We were
good.
Yeah.
We were good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
it's
were.
okay to say we were good.
Yeah,
Just the group that we had at that time
Totally.
had such a good dynamic.
yeah. We all had our own little different flavor
Yeah.
to throw into the
It
box.
was fun. And we had some really talented writers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Steph
definitely.
and stuff brought some
Yeah. All those
SNL
guys.
quality, stuff.
Totally. Could you imagine if we had different resources back then, what that could have done?
Oh, yeah. Or
You know what
different
I mean?
motivations. If we weren't just like, let's just dick around for fun
Yeah.
all the time. If we were like, let's do this,
Yeah. Maybe that was the
Legit.
problem, is all of us were too dysfunctional to like make anything really.
No. Not then.
Not then.
We were all 23,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, life was too mushy.
Life was way too mushy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah. But that's what this is my way of, giving that inner child a little freedom,
Yeah.
you
got
know.
to.
And then also to justify social time, because a lot of the socializing I did before involved like parties and drinking and it's not really
Little social vices.
Yeah.
Facades of like pretending to like 1/3 of the group you're with.
Yeah,
Even though you
basically.
don't.
Yeah, and then just a weird young person's game.
Yeah.
I think. Not to say that I'm old, but it's like, when you start taking things serious, like your jobs and your parenthood and your relationships, I don't really have a lot of room for fucking around like that anymore.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It happens really fast.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I had a baby.
Next thing you know, you're watering the yard with a smile on your face. Like, I don't want to be doing anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go to bed at 9 tonight because,
Yeah. So thanks for being proud of me.
oh, of course. I am. I really am.
But let's start with your Jehovah's Witness stuff you were saying
Of course.
earlier. Yeah, you grew up in a Jehovah's Witness.
Family. Yeah, my grandparents are Jehovah's Witnesses and have been my whole life. My mom, she was disfellowshipped when she was young, so she wasn't, as I was growing up, she was an active part of the church at all. But I essentially was, because she had to work and she was a single mom. So I had spent a lot of time with Papa and Grandma.
Yeah.
And they spent a lot of time
Grooming you?
at church.
Oh,
know?
oh yeah.
Not necessarily grooming me, not even like purposefully grooming me. It's just a byproduct
Yeah.
of their beliefs. Ends up being grooming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was in a very interesting position because I got to see and experience the church from both sides. From my mom's disfellowshipped, booted,
Yeah.
got kicked out of, she's not even allowed to socialize with her own mother, who's part of the church, to, I spend half my time in the week with people who are active members of the
Yeah.
church. So it was really weird for me as a
Yeah,
kid,
no kidding.
like kind of living that duality,
Yeah.
like knowing that my mom was like considered bad,
Yeah, yeah.
and like so bad that you couldn't even talk to her, you couldn't have a conversation with her.
Yeah. Blacklisted.
Yeah, which I've always felt was such a weird way to deal with people in your circle making wrong choices
Yeah. Or choices you don't agree
or
with.
choices you don't agree with, just to
Yeah.
be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's a little unhealthy.
seems crazy. I mean, I feel lucky in the fact that like I feel my experience left no like a religious facade for me to attach myself to.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel
Too many contradictions.
it's too
Yeah.
many contradictions.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person.
Sure.
And I probably never will be
Yeah.
because of all this.
Because of the way it was given to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really hard for me to see my mom struggle all by herself.
Yeah.
And her parents did what they could. They obviously were they were helping her. They were watching me. So
But they
were
wouldn't
helping.
talk to her?
They would not socialize. So they would talk just bare minimum. Just
Right.
stuff that had to do with me,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that had to do with moving forward in my
Man, how
care
challenging
plan.
for them.
Oh,
that must have
yeah.
been.
Well, I think it was most challenging for her mom. So now later, she was disfellowshipped for, I don't know. I want to say like 35 years, a long time.
That's a
really
lifetime.
long time. Yeah, like
That's
my
enough time
entire
not
lifetime.
not to have anything to do with it anymore ever.
Yeah.
Which now she's back.
But yeah, so like 3 years ago, right about the time I was going to give birth to Enzo,
Yeah.
she just like sprung it on me and my sister that she had been studying with them again and that she was reinstated like last weekend. She didn't even tell us. She was just like, I got reinstated last weekend.
Re-enlisted.
You know, because, and the reason why she didn't talk to her daughters about it is because she was afraid that we were going to talk her out of her choices.
Sure.
And her decisions.
Yeah.
Which part of me was like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like, don't fall for it again. But also part of me is like, you're grown.
Yeah.
You're 60 years old. You
Right.
can make whatever choices you want. They can be good or bad choices. I'm going to support you. I'm going to love you no matter what you do. It's not going to hurt you to go back to church. You guys aren't hurting anybody. You're just knocking on doors. It's like totally, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what you feel like you need to do. And I feel like she's making these choices a lot because of her mom. Because like her mom's getting older, you know.
Sure.
And now that she's reinstated, they can cultivate a relationship together,
Yeah.
which has been missing for a long time.
Yeah.
And I would do that.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I'd
Yeah,
play
why
whatever.
not?
I'd honestly play whatever
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
to get some time with my mom at the end.
Yeah. That's
And
what it
I don't
boils
think
down
that's what
to.
she's doing, but
Yeah. Well, maybe not consciously.
yeah.
Yeah, she's found a way in, and that's just what it sounds like.
I think religion can be so manipulative.
Sure.
And especially, unfortunately, I think the way that my family goes about it, the way they interpret the Bible,
Yeah.
I think is just like way too literal and way too...
So what is the significant understanding in Jehovah's Witness? Like, what is the so what's the difference of, say, Jehovah's Witness versus Christian or Orthodox Christian?
I mean, they both believe in Jesus. They both follow the Bible. I think it's different
Different takes on the Bible
takes or
stories?
versions.
Yeah.
You know, there's different
Sure.
versions. I think that they follow different versions.
Yeah.
I know Jehovah's Witnesses stick to like, there's some rules like rules against idolization. Like they don't want, there's no like false gods, even in idolization with somebody's birthday. They don't want to like, they don't
Right, they don't
celebrate
celebrate
birthdays.
birthdays,
Yeah, because you're not supposed to idolize somebody on that day.
It's cost effective.
And make them cost effective.
That's appealing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, you know, and they always had they had colorful ways of getting around stuff like that. Like I remember during Christmas time, we'd always take a 2-week vacation to the ocean. We'd go and just pretend like it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. And we'd go to the ocean and we'd stay in a cabin and just not
Wow.
be
How
part
did you
of
feel
Christmas.
about that as a kid, though? Like, did you feel like you were missing out?
No, because my mom played both sides for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
pretended not to celebrate when I was with my grandparents and stuff, but like my mom would still throw me birthday parties and I would still get Christmas presents and
That's
stuff
cool.
through
Good for her.
her.
She's
Yeah.
such a rebel.
She was.
Yeah.
That's why I'm having such a hard time, I think, now with it because she's really not, she doesn't like exude that rebel spirit anymore. She's like way calmed down and
She's tired of fighting.
she's tired of fighting and I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Moms are
But
like
it feels so different.
that. Yeah. And that's the thing about how, when I was saying that your parents become kids, is that the fundamentals of life start really taking hold of their thought process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need all that jazz. I don't need to do all
Yeah.
that fighting anymore.
Yeah.
I can kind of lean back and do my thing.
Go with the flow
My
a little
kids will
more.
understand, and
Yeah,
if they
they're
don't,
old enough, they can handle it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that part of it, though.
Yeah.
That they find some serenity in just giving up. And
I do too. There's a huge advantage to her choice too, in that she is content, and she hasn't been content in those 35 years.
yeah,
She's been in turmoil,
Yeah,
but now
yeah.
she's finding some, like you said, serenity, some contentment, and that's a really beautiful thing to see.
see
in
that's
her.
and that's important, because I think when we look at our take on religion based on our experience in childhood, it's very different from what it actually is. It's, you take people and they make it all screwy for you.
Yeah.
And that's the disheartening part, is to watch these grown-ups foil the fun with just misguided information. And I get it, like that's what they believe, but at the end of the day, religion can be your salvation.
Sure.
And which I think is what's happening with your mom.
I think so too. I think she's learning that it doesn't have so much to do with the organization, the church, the establishment, the building that she walks into, but more with her relationship with her own spirituality.
Yeah.
Which is super important to come to terms with.
Good for her.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And me and my sister, of course, had emotional reactions to her choices and stuff, but in the end, we're just like, that's all right.
Yeah.
Do you? We still love you.
Yeah.
And support you. I mean, if she had told me that she was getting reinstated, I would have gone and watched the ceremony and stuff.
Yeah, been there for her.
Yeah.
The process.
Yeah. I am a little bit nervous for her. I just don't want her to get hurt again.
Yeah.
But I think that she can handle it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good for her mom.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
totally.
she brought my grandparents into her home and they're living with her now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's, I think you have to make a decision before you go back into that. Like, what if things go
And it has to be I think it was smart of her not to talk to me because it has to be your own choice. I would have filled her head with all kinds of my own opinions.
Yeah. You got to let it happen.
Yeah. But
Jehovah's Witness. There was a guy who came to my house. There's a Jehovah's Witness church right down the street in Fair Oaks. It was by the cemetery. And him and his wife, he must have been in his early 70s. Excuse me. He came up to the door and we just started a conversation about... Because I had a bit of a turnaround myself. And I've always been somewhat spiritual. I think at some point I went a little too atheist as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. Because... and I think that fundamentalists like Christianity, like people who say this is exactly what's going on, are the exact same as an atheist who says this is exactly what's going on.
How can you know?
Neither of you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the truth is, like that's fine if that's your thing, but I mean you can't be that
rigid.
Yeah, that doesn't
Nature's not like that.
Exactly. That's And so if that's the case, then it's about each other. It's about supporting each other in our own spiritual journeys and like whatever you need. If that faith gives you a sense of peace and your world is safe
and helps you function as a happy, healthy part of the community, do it.
Yeah. If you take language out of it, it's the energy that moves you, and if that's what moves you, through space, the way that that you agree with, then do that.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I think it's fine.
That's pretty basic, right? Golden rule kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? No church?
No.
No? Just free flowing at home?
Yeah, I really don't think that I am the kind of person that will ever be like spiritual in a group like that.
Yeah.
Unless it's a really small, intimate group of people that I know intimately. It's really hard for me to agree with the teachings, all of the teachings in the Bible.
Sure.
It's really hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that like there's no woman's input in that book.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I think whenever we mute the women in our society, everything fails.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really important, just like nature, to have the balance and like the bending stuff, and I just feel like traditional religions really mute the female voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, is essentially that, the woman's voice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to John the other day about like in my time as being like a mature bodied woman, I've experienced like excessive catcalling just walking down the street. Mm-hmm. And I've also experienced that go away, to totally go away. And I don't think it's just because like I've gotten less attractive. I think it's because, I think it's because we've made ourselves aware of like, hey, that's super creepy. And it makes me feel skeeved out when you yell at me from your car and I'm just walking down the street or whatever. Like, I think it's really important to bring the consciousness up and like bring up our mutual level of enlightenment.
Yes.
To like feel like we understand what people are going through.
I agree with you. What's the most interesting thing for me from a man's perspective is that, us boys and all the testosterone that we grow up with and have to manage and mitigate that energy, a lot of the traditional expression with women is fairly brutal, as like that's how a lot of men that I knew growing up would express it, is they'd catcall, and that was
abrasive. It's
made
abrasive.
okay but it was completely unfair.
Yeah.
If you're sharing space, like you don't, it'd be like a bunch of wolves hanging out.
You don't have to explain how it feels to me. I
Yeah,
know. I remember how it feels.
But I always noticed that. Like the other day, I was at a gas station, right? And this smaller, older woman, I think maybe in her early 40s, she came in and she had summer clothes on.
Yeah.
And she was real pretty, and I could see all of us men noticing.
Yeah.
And I would just imagine, like, if I were her,
Right.
how that would feel. And like that's the part that's maybe overlooked by a lot of guys, is like, how would you feel in that moment? How would you feel when you feel like, all these wolves are, scoping out the...
Well, I think that the most men don't put themselves in a position of how it would feel if like alphas were scoping them out. They put it in a position of like, how would I feel if a bunch of women were scoping me out? I love that.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
No.
It doesn't feel the same.
No.
There was a situation, where were we talking about?
It's very different. Still intimidating.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know where I heard this. It could have been like a stand-up special or talking to friends. I cannot remember. But somebody said that they read like a popular phrase from, I don't know, maybe a president said it or something like that. It says like, walk like you have three men walking behind you. I think that's the phrase. Walk like you have three men walking behind you, which is supposed to be like walk strong, proud, like you've got reinforcements behind you, right? But a lot of the women took it like, walk like there are three men walking behind me. Fucking run, get the fuck out. Like, what do you gotta save yourself, turn around, fight, do something.
Yeah.
It's like it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
So,
Very good men.
right. It needs to be, it needs to be more descriptive.
Yeah, we
Three
need
good-
to
your-
narrow
your
that
father,
down.
Your father, your brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three men who care about you.
But you know what though? I have seen and felt my own personal life. Like I felt the awareness,
The shift.
that come up,
Yeah.
I mean, I was pumping gas the other day in the like under things from my fairy costume.
Yeah.
So it's like a tank top. I don't wear a bra under it. It's like little leggings. I've got all my upper layers like off 'cause it's hot.
Yeah.
I'm done with my gig. I was pumping gas on my way home. And I had this moment where I was just like, the breeze was there. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was just a moment of just calm. And I like closed my eyes, and then I opened my eyes and I looked across the parking lot, and two guys about my age, a little younger, were like walking towards me, and they had their shirts off, and they just looked kind of like the kind of guys that might say something, whatever,
Right.
as they walked past me. And so I felt myself like brace
Sure, yeah.
for that interaction.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They just walked past me, and I honestly was so proud of them. I was just like, yes, good for you.
You should
like,
have catcalled them.
I felt like being like, good job, you guys. You didn't say anything about my nipples, you guys. Oh, I'm so proud of you. It literally felt like that moment. I was just like, and it could have been that never even crossed their mind, which is even more beautiful.
Sure.
But it's funny to
See.
experience that. It's like our generation, right? We were the ones that grew up with rotary phones and shit, and now there's all cell phones.
I'm telling you, it's an alien world to most people now.
Yeah, the shift really is like everything.
That's what I'm saying. When I was downtown,
Yeah,
on K
it's an
Street,
alien world. The future
I'm
is
like,
now.
It's all. All
Someone's
the
like, let me
movies
stick
we
my
watch.
credit card in this scooter and ride it away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. People have like these computer watches.
I know.
That they can talk to each other.
I
That
know.
was just
They're just like-
that was like a Steven Spielberg kind of thing back in the day.
Yeah.
It blows your mind.
It's amazing.
We're living in a weird matrix kind of.
I think it's weird, especially for our age, though.
Yes.
Because like Enzo's not gonna know.
Well, so what I think is interesting is that we were at the start of like ADD, ADHD. I think because we were like
or like overdiagnosing it in young children.
Yeah, and we're adults with ADD. I think a lot of times like people our age that maybe are creative or not. I think we experience depression because that was the beginning of that evolution is of people changing. Is we were introduced to such colorful technology. You know, the 80s were all about color, color TV. Like everything was so bright and colorful.
Yeah.
Like our world was so stimulating. You know, it just changed our minds a little bit.
It rewired us.
Yeah, it totally. And schools were as far behind as you think they are now. Think about back in the 80s when they had no fucking clue what was going on, you know? And so I just think it's interesting.
Man, all that Oregon Trail ruined us.
Totally.
Ruined us.
All that shit, Mortal Kombat, all that crap ruined us. We thought So I think it blows my mind every day, really. To see, it's like when you don't go to the dentist or doctor for a long time, right? Then you finally go back after a couple of years. They have new equipment.
Oh, right. They're like, oh, we do the X-ray right here now, and you're like, what? I don't have to go to a room and put on a
stick your
suit?
head in this helmet.
What?
It's all like that's the 3D image, and then boom, it pops up on the computer
real?
screen. Yes,
I haven't gone to that one.
Yeah,
yet.
so they put their little whatevers in between the teeth, and it's this helmet looking contraption that's on a pivot arm like this, and they pull it over to your head like you're getting a perm or something, and it scans your head 360.
Aquanaut.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Remember before you'd sit in a little room with a little metal bulletproof vest on?
Yeah, they're like, I hope you're not pregnant, because if you are, your kid's fucking drove
We're
two heads.
frying that son of a bitch. And they'd stand behind that,
Yeah, they'd be like, I gotta go behind the wall because it's that dangerous.
Yeah.
You're like,
I don't want to die.
Is it? Is this necessary?
Very different now.
That's
very
cool.
different.
I want to try the helmet thing. Does it? They only have to do one. They just put the stuff in your mouth and they go.
Yeah. So I think the most change in that process they do is they change the side where the little backdrop between your teeth goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't get picture of teeth behind teeth, which would confuse the little
sharks.
dentist guy there. Yeah.
The little dentist.
Take your son to Surfside Dental if you ever get a chance.
Okay.
Beautiful experience. They've yanked teeth out of him before. They put in spacers. They've done all kinds of stuff you would deem as painful normally. He's never had an issue going to the dentist. He's good. Oh, that's cool. Let's go.
Good.
Yeah. So Surfside Dental.
Dude, I can't believe Declan's gonna be 10. That feels so weird.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to you?
Of course it does. The whole idea that I'm a father to a 10-year-old person is just weird.
Do you remember when you brought him to the iCup photo shoot and we all took pictures with him? I feel like that was 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And just seeing him become, different.
His own person.
Yeah. Because he's got his own world going on right now. You know? That's why we're going camping tonight, actually.
Where are you guys going to go?
When I'm done with this, we're going to go up to Tahoe, Fallen Leaf Lake. You ever been there?
No.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we'll go up there for a night, be boys.
Yeah.
Touch base. Good. And get reacquainted because life just moves so fast. Yeah. Work.
You have to schedule leisure time into your life.
Yeah.
John and I have this thing we say to each other. We say there's no days off.
Yeah.
When you're a grown up.
Not really. No, that's harder to swallow sometimes when you're just overwhelmed. Part of that too is living in a society like this where things are pretty fast paced.
Oh yeah, it's always go.
Yeah, and you have to.
And you feel 10 steps behind even if you're trying your best.
Yeah,
constantly.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
and so
getting that social media off my phone helped.
not
compare myself.
Let me add something to the Me Too thing that you're kind of touching on. Is that I'm happy about that change too, because it's especially men when we get together and we start the camaraderie. A lot of rules go out the window. The taboo shit is not taboo anymore.
Yeah,
which is great on its own. In the right space with other men, be silly, be gruesome, whatever. The truth is in your actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we want to express, because I asked my brother-in-law Daryl, he's a black police officer, and I asked him, "What is your thought on the N-word?" And to my surprise, pleasant surprise, he's like, "It's just a fucking word. It's whatever you put behind it." Yeah, and I love that rule for every word. No words are off the table when you're trying to connect with somebody else, As long as you're not, if you don't add the element of hate in there or some sort of aggression, Because that's the thing is if you add some aggression behind any words, then you're going to have to pay the consequences.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's how the Matrix works, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying it to connect with somebody and you're feeling good, it's a good vibe and you guys are, you're not hurting anybody, then all bets are off. Say what you got to say.
Yeah.
But I like that the world is different. And even if it's just paranoia for a lot of guys, I think it's great that women get to feel a little more free at a gas pump.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
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 I agree.
And then what was the other thing we were just about to dive into?
Oh, getting the social media off your phone.
I have a confession.
You put it back.
I have a confession.
What is it?
I recently
Tell me your sins.
I recently suffered a dose of depression because of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So creating the whole podcast page on Facebook felt like a necessity. Doing what I'm doing.
It does now. If I feel like you can't not have a business page.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fair, and I'm okay with that. I'm hip with the times. I'm hip
right.
with, and I got that concept, but when I started spending more time on Facebook, some old habits of, what I look for came up and just scrolling and paying more attention to things that really not too relevant in my world, but they got me. Whatever that news was, it got me. And specifically, there were two people that I admire on some level, and maybe there's a little bit of envy there as well. There's all these different things happening with these personalities, but they're artists. At the end of the day, they're both artists, and they use Facebook to express their art, and they're usually pretty fair in that realm. They're not, they don't poke too much fun at any one type of person, or they don't, try to impose their rules of living on anybody else.
Okay.
But there was a moment where one of them had said, I don't like your material, so why would I like your page?
To you directly?
Not to me. Just I took it personal because I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to.
They just commented though on your page?
No, it was on their page. So that's what I'm saying is I took this personally. And I'll tell you specifically, it was if I don't like your comedy, why would I like your comedy page?
Okay.
And to me, it was like, why would you put that out there in the world when it's hard enough expressing yourself?
You're being a dick. That's why.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you, even if you don't like my material, because not all your shit's funny either, but why wouldn't you support the idea of expressing yourself?
Right, of you having material.
Yeah, why wouldn't you lift another artist up and say, this is what matters? You know what I mean? And when we all complain about corporate this and that and the government having hands on this and that, why wouldn't you support independence?
Because haters gotta hate.
It's a weird thing. So that being said, I took it personal, that comment, and I ended up going on a Facebook purge. I deleted that one, didn't delete, but just took a break off of that one. Another account that that some of this stuff just bothered me. It was doing something to me. And I lost sleep over it. I was tripping. And so then I realized though, after a few days, I'm like, oh, this is what social media can do if you're not careful. If you're not careful about what you put in your mind, it can really, it's all right. It can really fuck with you.
Yeah.
So I went on a little Facebook purge. I'm all better for it.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah.
That was a moment. That was a real moment. And I was ashamed of it because it was like, I'm a grown ass man, nobody else's stuff. And all these weird stories came up in my head about what was going on. And then I just realized, oh, I need to do something about this.
Honestly, before just removing Facebook completely off my phone, probably over the last year, I've reduced it to absolutely nobody that I know because I have the relationships that I have working in my life and I'm happy to cultivate those, but I can't invest myself emotionally in everybody else's drama just constantly, and what's really, I think that what really pushed me to get rid of it was taking on the California Mermaid Convention, putting that event on. That by itself, not necessarily get so much hate or anything, but you have to just field a lot of other people's opinions about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And other people, you should do this, you should do that. You know, it's constant. And it's a ton of people trying to tell you exactly how to do a thing and then assuming that they know the intricacies of your budget or whatever else, you know, and telling you like, you should move your event to Santa Barbara. It's like, how do I do that? I don't think, what? I can barely put it on here. Like, just let me put it on here, you know? I think me having to field all of that for the California Mermaid Convention, not all of it, obviously I'm like on a team of 3, but having to be part of that, it made me feel very like cold towards social media. I was just like, you guys are just hating to hate. You're just saying this stuff to say this stuff. You're posting, like, for example, one thing that really rubbed me raw, okay? And the only reason why I know so much about this person is because John goes and researches people when they're assholes on the internet. He goes and researches their whole profile and he finds out about their whole life. When they're jerks to you one time, he's like, oh, okay. Oh, well, now I know where you work and I know where you know, I know you have 2 kids and I don't know why, but he just like likes to find out the information, right? So we put on this convention. One of our main goals the whole entire time was inclusivity because there's a whole mermaid community. It's can be very dramatic sometimes. It's actually really, really big. It's growing really quickly. It's become like this crazy fad that a bunch of people are into.
If there's a documentary online about it, then of course it is.
I'm in a documentary about mermaids right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
this
is the thing.
It's crazy. Yeah. They're doing it all over the world, and a bunch of aquariums are starting to hire mermaids, and there's a bunch of enthusiasts popping up, and it's become so much more accessible to live that fantasy. I think because of that, it opened it up to so many people's opinions about what we were doing and stuff. Yeah. And so anyway, one of our main goals the whole time in planning it was to maintain this really strong feeling of inclusivity. Like, hey, we all get to play. If you want to be a mermaid, Mike, I will help you be a merman. Sure. We can work it out. Mm-hmm. If you are a black mermaid, you're welcome. If you're an Asian mermaid, you're welcome. Whatever you are, it's all inclusive, right? So in the spirit of that, we set up like one of the panels that we had was like a inclusivity panel. So we had a transgender mermaid on, we had a mermaid from the Caribbean on, we had a gay merman. It was just a diversity panel about what they've personally experienced growing in this community, trying to get gigs, what they've gone through. So that was part of it. We also had our trans mermaid. She was basically like our trans mermaid ambassador. She's awesome. Her name is Nymphia Nautilus. So Nymphia did a kids swim, which was so awesome. And everything was beautiful. And the event went off wonderfully. We got a lot of compliments. We got a couple complaints, whatever. They were all manageable things. 2 days or a day after the event, we got a post on our Facebook page from someone saying that they were disappointed, right? They went on the whole thing. I'm disappointed because of these reasons, right? They gave all of their reasons. And some of the reasons weren't really valid, like just like I could tell that maybe they didn't get out of the car. They said they went to Old Sacramento but didn't see any mermaids. But like we have drones and footage of like 300 people out there. So maybe they didn't get out of the car, or maybe they couldn't find parking or whatever. So like things maybe didn't go exactly right for them. And they posted on our social media page. And we addressed it. And we said, we'd love to give you, basically we were going to give them a refund, because if you're unhappy, it's like, here's your money back. You're one of the very few. Not everybody's asking for refunds. We can give you a refund, right? And then she sent us an email. And in her email, she went into more depth about what she was upset about. And one thing that she brought up was that she doesn't think that we should have had a trans mermaid.
Oh, wow.
At all. Wow. And that mermaids shouldn't be trans. And that fucking pissed me off. That made me so furious.
Wow, she went that far.
But she didn't do it on social media in front of everybody.
Of course not.
She sent us a private email about that complaint.
Yeah.
Because that was very cowardly.
Yeah.
John did a bunch of research. She's like a cop in Auburn or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. I'll bust you out on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like, we stood up to her.
A cop in Auburn?
Yeah.
How disappointing.
It really was.
Oh my god.
And it was like a mother of a teenage daughter, and I was just like, ugh, boo. Yeah.
Fuck the police.
A little bit.
Just kidding.
A little bit.
just that one.
Just that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I mean, fuck the police on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Fuck
Yeah.
the police on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, you know. I've had police help me
Of course.
before.
Of course.
I've also been terrified of police before. So, I don't know. I feel like when you're a white kid in the ghetto, sometimes you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I thought that was really interesting that people...
Did you respond?
Hell yeah, I responded. I was like, for one, you're not getting your refund back. That's for sure. We'll be donating your money to Trans Rights, the new trans hotline. It made me so mad.
Yeah.
And I let her know. I said, it's really unfortunate that you think that your view of a mermaid is so limited, because in the real world, anyone can be a mermaid.
Plus, who's been that exposed to mermaids long enough to know that that's a real...
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's a mythical creature.
Is it really?
I think so.
Don't break my heart.
Well, I know a lot of real mermaids. Mermaid's really an attitude more than a physical.
Okay, she's not crazy. This is good
She's
news.
just a mermaid.
Wow, that's absurd.
Yeah,
But good for you to experience that real... Now you know it's real.
definitely.
You know
And
what I mean?
I mean, I think like deep down we were a little bit prepared for something like that.
Sure.
You know,
I think you have to be nowadays.
Yeah, but I was shocked that she went about it in the way that she did. It's like, hey, if you're gonna be a bigot, be a bigot in front of everybody.
You didn't screenshot it? And put
I
it on
wanted
your
to.
Facebook? Yeah.
I wanted to take the whole email and post it as a comment on her thing, and then respond to it and bust her out. But
yeah, right. But you
it's just
can't.
like,
you
and
can't do
honestly,
the
it's like,
same.
do you want to take on that much
Good
fighting?
For you. Good for you.
And she never responded to my email, so I think I got her.
Yeah.
I got the last word in. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that made me really upset.
I could just imagine her opening that screen and being like, "Oh, damn it! Damn it!
I'm an asshole.
I'm an asshole." Ship.
Oh, ship. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this kind of thing is I want to know what's really going on. Do people really experience this shit? I have never had an issue with cops. I don't know if it's because
But that probably didn't have nothing to do with her being a cop. That's just
no,
who she is.
but I'm
you know?
saying just topical issues right now, like racism, police, you know, all these things. This issue with homosexuality. Like I don't experience a lot of all this stuff, so. Like, I just want to know what people's take on this. The only thing I've ever experienced is living in southern U.S. and being thought of as Mexican. But it's America, right?
Yeah.
If you're brown, you must be from a different town.
But that was so long ago that you probably wasn't. I mean, was it
right.
a
No,
negative?
it wasn't. And it really wasn't. It was almost like, of course they're going to confuse me. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think you're not Mexican.
See? See? Yeah, well, you know. You know what's funny? And I'll admit this. I used to have a bigger problem with that than I really would have admitted a long time ago, being confused for Mexican. Wasn't because I didn't like Mexicans. I just was offended by people narrowing me down
To just that main brown category.
Yeah,
You're just like,
I
oh, you're not dark
guess.
enough to be black, so you must be Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, well, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not going to ask, then yeah, that's what I am.
Do you know what I learned the other day? That all of us carry about 2 to 7% of Neanderthal DNA in our system.
2 to 7, some a little bit more.
Some a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So.
believe it. What the hell's a Neanderthal? That's
Yeah, it's like a
old
pre-human. Yeah, they're old people. You fucking Neanderthal.
That's what they are.
Did you hear about that scary thing that happened to us the other day?
No.
Speaking of my husband being a nurse,
No.
he poked himself with a dirty needle
Oh.
by accident. After using on a patient, he poked himself, so he had to go straight to the emergency room to get a bunch of blood tests. Luckily, the patient is like very low risk, so I mean, he's literally been like bedridden his whole life, so there's very low chance that he's like been sexually active and might have HIV or whatever else in the blood. But it was super scary, and he's got to go back in 6 months and get tested. Wow. No. Yeah.
That's a real hazard.
It was a real it felt like one of those wake up calls that slaps you in the face, because it's not something that I think about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But it could change our lives in an instant.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about when you start realizing the fragility of life.
Right.
And, you know, it's always in the movies, and you just, you know, what's interesting? It's like at my job, people have to date and sign the document. Mm-hmm. And 90% of people, they'll get to the date part and they'll look up at me and be like,
say, what date? What's the date today?
And it just tells me time's irrelevant.
It is.
It's not a real thing until you're conscious of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just go.
Yep.
You just live. And then you're all of a sudden you have to reference.
I was thinking about that when I was watching an episode of The Walking Dead the other day, because they had a clock on the wall that had some arbitrary time ticking away on it, and I was just like, who decided when it was 5:00? And then we went on from there. Like, who gets that? Who
gets to say what time?
Did you guys do a sundial? How accurate are these clocks?
Yeah.
Do your clocks match everyone else's clocks?
Don't ask any more questions. You're going to go back out there with the zombies.
Yeah.
That's the time. It's like 5:00 in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary. I'm glad he's okay.
I hope so far, so good.
Yeah.
And then more tests in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little more dangerous than mermaiding.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, in different ways.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you could get some picket fence people on your lawn eventually. If you do enough of that. But the mermaid thing, that started in the princess company.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had a mermaid character that would go to birthday parties, right? So it was like a tight sequins skirt with like a flare at the bottom.
Yeah.
She didn't swim or anything, and then, top or whatever. And so I did plenty of shows, which essentially was just, it's your character is your character, and then whatever outfit you've got on, you throw in a couple ocean things, absolutely, or whatever, and it's that character now. So, I never really felt connected to the mermaid character in any more relevant way than any of the other costumes that I put on with that company.
Yeah.
But I helped Phil Baldwin make a mermaid tail for Ariel, and this was so long ago, years ago, and he helped me kind of also make my own scrap tail in the process and stuff. And that was the first time that I put fabric around my legs and pretended to be a mermaid and went in the water and did it.
And how was that?
It was fun. It was a fantasy. A bunch of us just went to a pool, and we all had these makeshift tails and these little kicker monofins that we had purchased, and we just kicked around. And I had no idea that people did it for a living, or that even there was a mermaid bar in Sacramento. I had no idea that it was a thing.
That came after you started the mermaid thing, right? The mermaid bar?
Yeah. I mean, I was playing around with that fabric tail for 2 years before. And I left the Princess Company and started that boutique. Yeah. Do you remember when I was working with Danielle in that?
Yeah.
In Firefly? Yeah. So I was running that boutique for a year and a half, and I actually met Rachel, the head mermaid at Dive Bar, because she's an artist, and she brought some art in to sell through the boutique. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is cool, mermaid stuff. And she was like, yeah, I'm a mermaid at the Dive Bar. And I was totally oblivious, didn't know what that was. Yeah. And then once I found out what it was and saw it, it freaking blows your mind whenever you see it for the first time, because the tails are very realistic, and the tank is beautiful, and it's just a weird setting. And she comes in and does all these tricks and is ethereal, and it seems like she's can breathe underwater because of how we rest and stuff. Right. And it just blows your mind. And so I remember I saw a performance and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm doing this. I want to do this. Yeah. It was a really intense hiring process.
Really?
It was going out for Star Search or some shit. It was literally called Mer Search, and they had probably 20 applicants come in, and then they narrowed us down, and then they narrowed us down, and then they narrowed us down again.
By just doing different...
Just through the interview process, and ended up with 8 to 10 people that had to, or no, I think it was 5. I think there were 5 of us, and we had to basically we went through training to do one performance, and the performance was a night where everybody could vote for us. So we had to vet votes for a month and get votes to come in.
I remember this.
Yeah, and then we did a performance, and then whoever won the most votes that night won the 2 open positions at Dive Bar.
Wow.
And I beat Ariel out by 8 votes, like nothing.
Wow.
Like barely. I
And
barely.
her name is Ariel.
If she had gotten the job, I probably would have never gone back and tried to be a mermaid.
sure, yeah.
I would have just moved on.
Yeah, right.
You
Tried
know what I
it,
mean?
done, yeah.
Tried it, didn't yank it.
Yeah.
Cool, Ariel got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
But because of that little bit of a whatever advantage that I happen to have over that freaking natural mermaid that should be a mermaid and that probably just came out of the ocean, right? Like that's the only thing I think that like really set my life on this other trajectory.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to think like what a small margin that was.
Yeah.
And it could have been totally different. I probably would have never stepped
Do you ever
foot in
think-
dive bar again.
Do you ever think it might be divine intervention?
Sure.
Do you ever feel that way
Or
sometimes?
fate or something like that. I don't know if it's like intervention, like somebody's.
No, I don't think necessarily that, but just the vibration.
Yes, I believe in that.
Okay.
I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that we put out vibrations and that reciprocates things back to us. I feel like we can manifest to a certain extent things that we want to happen in our life. I think it's really hard to maintain that mindset, but it's possible. I do believe in it. That makes so much more sense to me than religion and a Bible book.
Yeah.
It does. Like I feel like that's how the universe works.
Well, I think that it's the same in energy because, there's different words in religion, but the essence of what's happening is just a formula for life.
Yeah.
That's all it is harnessing energy. And I think that that's the part where I said I had a turnaround was I realized that those stories can mean to me what I want them to mean to me. They don't have to be my last perception of religion. I can do a whole new chapter on what I think those are.
Yeah.
And it freed me up in so many ways, especially socially with people. When it used to be when I'd hear people start talking about God and in their religion, I would be a turnoff and I'd
would
put
just
up a wall.
Yeah.
But then I had a bit of a spiritual turnaround and lately in this podcast especially, it sounds like I'm trying to sell religion. And I'm not. I'm merely trying to free people from holding back from one another. And I think at the end of the day, that's what a lot of society is dealing with is a disconnect because of belief systems. You don't believe the way I believe. So
we're not anything alike.
We're not in the same, you know what I mean? And I think that's a mistake. I think the idea is to accept it, that on the surface, it may mean whatever, but the formula you're living your life by is working for you. So do that, you know, like it doesn't matter what I think. Honestly, we don't know what the fuck's going to happen after the lights go out anyways. So it's irrelevant, right?
I honestly hope it's what my grandma thinks because she has given up her whole life
Yeah.
to get into this after
Get into the club
situation, right?
Yeah.
So like I really freaking hope it's there for her after all that sacrifice. Honestly, even if it means there's nothing for me and I don't get in there. Like,
but the way I think about it, right, is there's a story that got brought up by one of the podcast guests, which was there's this guy who found an indigenous group out in the Congo.
oh, I read about that.
Okay.
And they
so
fucking killed him.
They fucking killed him. I think that's really all the difference is that reality is none of your business.
Yep.
Afterlife is none of your fucking business. What you use to navigate this reality is completely asinine in that reality.
I think so too.
So it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what you want to matter. That's what matters.
Right.
What you want to matter. So that being said, religion is a personal thing. God is a personal thing.
Yeah.
God is a 3-letter word that represents big. That's bigger than
Bigger
we
than
even
me,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, bigger than me. That's all it is. Just a sound and a vibration we use to express that knowledge. Like, I know something's going on, you know,
Yeah.
whether I call it God or the universe or, you know, aliens, whatever. It doesn't. It's nothing.
I'm
to do
super
with it.
into ancient aliens.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
You know what I think aliens are?
What?
I think aliens are humans of the distant future
That left.
who have not necessarily left, just evolution is where it's at for them. Like they either are on a different planet that requires a different biology, whatever the evolution is of us in that time is what they are. Like, so that's why I think when we think of aliens they don't have normal bodies. They don't have genitalia. There's no
'Cause
need
it's
for
like
it.
advanced.
It's pointless. What do you need
Now we just
genitalia for when you just
make a baby with our mind
you just
power.
conceptualize a baby?
There he is.
Boom.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think. I think that that the biology we think is so different. It's not. It's just it's us in a different realm, a different like a parallel universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's where my head goes. I don't necessarily think aliens are aliens. I think it's just another version of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't like thinking of it as so removed from what we are. I think it's just life examining life. You know, I would assume that we don't know what black holes are. Right? We don't really know what the fuck is going on inside
Or what
a black
is at
hole.
the other side of that.
Yeah. So what if we created technology to be able to go in there at some point in the future, and these things have gone through, and here they are back in 2019.
And there's no way to keep record of this because our Earth just can't handle the course of time to record that.
Nothing lasts. It's not meant to.
Right. It's not meant to.
Meant to last that long. If you knew, and I've said this so many times, if you knew everything, you'd be dead. Because there's no fucking point. Is that how it works? Yeah. If you knew everything, you'd be dead. What's the point in going on if you knew everything?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the whole point of living is not knowing and to always be searching. And that's internalized and externalized. That's why we're so fascinated with space because the hell's over there, you know?
Yeah.
Same with the internal. That's why like the Buddhism religion has its own, you know, valuable perspective, just as, you know, like, people who go in, you know, that are in religion that go to like Africa to help. I don't know what you call those.
Oh, like the missionary situation.
Yeah, missionaries. Yeah. Like the faith that they experience is in that, as being in really shitty conditions with other human beings. That's where God exists for them, because that's all about, you know, human suffering and helping one another. And that's why a lot of celebrities get all philanthropic, is because they know that shit ain't real after a while. I gotta go see what human pain looks like. I've been living on a cloud for so long.
Yeah, I need to feel something.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's my take on aliens. But yeah, what about you? You're into aliens, you said.
Oh well, I enjoy the ancient alien theory, like in association with like Egyptian mythology, or I guess it's mythology. I don't know.
Well, tell me what. Because I
just
like
like there's been some hieroglyphs found that like look like flying machines. It's just like, how in the world would they know to depict that? It's not a bird, like it's definitely an airplane, the way that it's like made. So that kind of like is very interesting to me. Like, did we have the technology of flight back then? That's really interesting. And in what capacity? Could we just fly around like we do now? Could we go out outer space? Could we fly through black holes and set up civilizations and then come back as future people? Like, I don't know. So, and then also I'm really fascinated with just the, I guess like the cultural intricacies that go into like building a huge monument like that by hand, and not just one, but several. And also I really don't feel like the pyramids were tombs. I feel like they were like energy conductors, or they had some other function.
Agreed.
Like it's not what we think it is.
Well, the way they're perfectly spaced.
Yes,
the way
and they like aligned to stars and shit. And then like the tops, the points were supposed to be like covered in silver or plated in silver. What the fuck do you need some silver on the top for? That's some conductivity shit. Like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe, and they were positioned a lot closer to the Nile River, so maybe like the river flooding had something to do with firing them up. You know, maybe they were machines. It's so, and I also just have this feeling that a lot of the people who are in the know are like trying to keep it secret. Yeah. I don't know why. I watch these like famous Egyptologists and I'm like, you're lying.
Yeah, but it's like when if somebody's ever actually seeing ghosts,
right?
You're never going to believe them. I think it's the same thing. We're not really built to appreciate like, that information the way maybe it should be.
Yeah.
It's not worth getting out.
See, like if I was in charge of anything of substantiality in this world, I'd be like, let's fire those fucking pyramids up, yo. Get those tips covered in some silver.
Turn the fucking pyramids
let's get on, right?
Yeah.
I really feel like it had something to do with our...
I like the fascination because I am too. My theory is that we, you know, the evolution of life on this planet hasn't just happened once.
No, me neither. I don't think so either, because it eats itself. Yeah. Like the planet is like, I'll be lava now. I'll be snow now. Yeah, it's cyclical.
Yeah. So I think that civilization is just another version of, you know, life meeting a, you know, getting to a certain point with technology the way it was back then. We understood things differently back then. I guess is a way to put it. So our technology evolved differently.
Yeah.
So maybe we did have planes, but maybe we did lug around buckets and fucking sticks and shit.
Yeah.
As well.
Right. I
don't
agree.
know.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what
so
I mean?
too. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe we understood that being a part of nature consistently is important for our health, and that's what we did. Is we'd build shit by hand, and we continued that process, hunting, and because these are healthy aspects of being
a human,
a biological person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you, like, the other day I was watching a show called Alone on Amazon Prime, and it's about 10 guys who go live in the wilderness.
Ooh, that sounds like a show I'd like. I went on a real strong Naked and Afraid binge when I was breastfeeding the baby.
Yeah.
I like
Doesn't it
shows like that.
fascinate you? Like, there's some primal attraction to that process, because those guys, like, within the first 24
Is it
hours.
all men? It's 10 men?
It's all men.
Huh.
Yeah, in this series or this season, it's all men, and they're in some wilderness in Canada. I almost said Canada. They're in some Canadian wilderness, and they have select amount of tools that they can pick, like a tarp, some knives, a hatchet, whatever. But they have to build their camp. They have to go through parts of the wilderness to get to a more feasible, like, campsite. So they've got to deal with insects, animals. The first 24 hours, some guy at night, I think this was a hoax on him, but at night he heard the wolves howling. Then he thought he heard some close enough to camp so he could hear them tussling around with something, fighting over meat or whatever. But it got in his head and in his skin. He's like, it ain't worth it. I'm out of here. I think they planted some motherfucking speakers out there.
Yeah, you know how they edit shit
on.
like you'll be watching Survivor and they'll be like, "There's a lion right outside the fence line," and then they like edit just a shot of a lion walking through the dark. You don't know how close that lion is. Like, come on,
bullshit.
Yeah, I want to see the shot from you. I want you in the shot with the lion.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what they did too. They had a thing where he saw a bear at a creek. But it was always two different shots.
Right.
It was never
come on.
both of them. So you motherfucker. Then it ruined it for me. They ruined it for me. There was a scene where this guy built a boat out of sticks and twine, and he put his tarp in there, and it was like a working boat. And he's finally on the river, and he'd worked so hard to earn this. Now he can get to the other side where there's more stuff for him to survive off of.
Okay.
And in one of the shots,
are they competing to survive the longest? No, they're not working together.
No, they're not working together. They don't know what the other one's doing. They don't know that anybody's left. They literally just live as long as they can. But at this one scene, he's paddling through. He had made his own oars and all that. He's paddling through the water, and just a quick little pan of the camera. I noticed something in the background in the water, and I stop and pause it, and I zoom in. It's a fucking tanker ship in the background of this guy, supposedly going through some quiet
wilderness.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Ruined my life. It ruined my life. I was so mad.
Facade.
So I did recommend it, but the point is, watching those guys live in the wilderness, sleeping at night in fear of their life. And like, that's what life really is it's not all about being happy all the time. It's healthy to be aware of your own, what's the word I'm looking for?
Vulnerabilities.
Yeah. And realizing that the moment's what matters. You know what I mean? Like, you wake up in the morning, the sun is coming up, your camp, you've survived the night. That's your drug. That's what we're all taking drugs to get, is that alleviated feeling of, like,
the relief.
Oh, I'm alive.
I did it.
You know what I mean? And I think that's such a primal need.
That's really interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. We need that. That's what I'm saying. When we deal with, like, anxiety and depression in modern society, we forget about the pressures of just being here. Just being in a job where you got to go and work 12, 14 hours just to make the fucking rent. You know what I mean? And, like, we forget that it's okay to feel pressure from that. It's okay to admit you feel pressure from that. It's okay to admit, in the midst of your day, I'm not having a good day. Yeah. So bear with me. That should be okay. But we are so comfortable not talking to each other, which is, that's the part that bothers me the most. Is, like, all these stories of people being isolated because of color, or being ostracized because of their sexual preference, which is stupid as fuck.
My
You know
God,
what bothers
like,
me?
who the hell cares? Why does it matter?
Exactly.
It shouldn't matter in the slightest to you what that person does in the bedroom.
It's a misinterpretation of perception, because what happens is, like, when you see two people kissing in public, if it's a quick little kiss, you're like, oh, that's cool, that's cute, what a nice couple. If they start making out, you're like, that's a little inappropriate. You know, might want to move that along.
Right.
If you see two people who are unattractive kissing, whether straight, you know, if they're straight woman, straight man, you see two people, you look away quickly because you're like, oh, well, that's not turning me on. I don't really care. You see two guys kissing, it's the same fucking thing. If it bothers you, it's not because it's two guys.
It's because it doesn't appeal to you
It doesn't
personally.
appeal to you personally.
Right.
That's what your homophobia is. Stop turning it into some fucking biblical bullshit, because it's just a perception, a misguided perception. Like, you don't want to see two people kissing in public that aren't attractive to you. That makes sense. Don't kiss in front of me, guys. Could you take that into the bedroom?
No, shut your eyes.
Yeah.
Avert your eyes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really beautiful? John works at an elementary school right now. He's the school nurse, which is really cute.
That is cute.
But he was reprimanding some older boys, maybe 5th grade the other day. He was reprimanding them because they were poking at each other and tickling and trying to flick each other's ear and stuff. And he said, hey, stop tickling each other. Don't be touching each other. And one of the boys turned around and said, hey, don't be homophobic. And I was like, that was beautiful. And John was like, it has nothing to do with your gender. Just don't be touching each other. No one touch each other.
Yeah,
Don't touch each other.
That's fucking funny.
But it's interesting how the mindset has really changed a lot.
It is.
Because it's not like, you fag.
Yeah.
Or, ew, you're gay.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, don't be homophobic, bro.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them. So it's not all bad.
No.
No, it's not all bad.
No.
That's a misunderstanding, huh?
I get to see a lot of good just in my profession because I'm a party entertainer. So I get to show up at people's houses on the best day of the year when they're having a party.
Yeah.
And it's, at the height of that moment. And so I get to see a lot of like real moments of joy and kids, kids are so unique in that they're like really, really truthful and honest in their words and their actions and their interactions. So it's a very upfront and open conversation with a kid. It's not double speak like you get with a lot of grown-ups and stuff like that, which is, I love talking to kids like that. Kids will point out this little tooth here that I have. Yeah. They'll be like, what's wrong with your tooth? It's very yellow. You should brush it, and that's fine. Like, that's totally fine for them to point that out. And it gives me an opportunity to make some little, actually, I know the tooth fairy, and we actually have a deal. I get to keep this baby tooth. It doesn't look that great, but it's mine, and I'm going to keep it forever. So you just tell me later on if you get to keep any of your baby teeth. Do you have a special deal with the tooth fairy? Don't think so. It gives me this, like, opening. But it's fun to, I don't know, be put in that position where you're just like, everything's fair game.
It's probably nice to be around people who are present.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah.
The kids
That's what they
nothing
are.
but present.
They live in the moment. They're
Yeah.
timeless little people.
They can't do anything more than that.
They're like, you're like, what do you want for dinner? I don't know.
The concept of dinner is
food.
so far away.
Yeah. Food. We always eat food.
Do you remember feeling like that when you were young? Like, do you remember feeling like endlessly bored? Like time just went on, and like you had all the time in the world. It literally felt like that to me. And I feel like now I'm like struggling, like the days I'm like, no, wait, it's already 12:05.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm always behind now.
Well, I think that when people see kids that are super hyperactive and have all this energy and they say, oh, I wish I had what he's got, well, he doesn't have problems to deal with. He doesn't have to deal with people. He doesn't have to drive anywhere.
There's nothing bringing him
There's
down.
nothing holding him down.
Yeah.
So you get rid of all your shit.
Yeah.
That will be you. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. It's
Bless
really
their little hearts. That child doesn't ever really go away. That person.
Yeah.
That's who you are inside. That's why the improv thing was so big for us. It's like, finally.
Yeah.
I can just be a fucking goofball, forget about later, and just be here now.
Yeah. For me, it came at the perfect time because I was going through some really like adult stuff. I was going through like a really bad breakup.
Yeah.
It was like a bunch of vices that I was trying to just like get rid of, and this became improv comedy became like the only thing I needed.
Yeah.
It was just, I just needed to get together with you guys, and it was like my therapy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do drugs. I didn't want to drink anymore. I didn't want to party. I didn't want to, get myself into another fruitless relationship, one after another, whatever. It was just, it felt so fulfilling. That was enough. That was enough just to play and have fun and just be myself.
And it felt productive.
It did feel productive. We were doing shit.
The fact that we scheduled
we made
things.
$20 like every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So
not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff's important.
Yeah.
I miss it so.
Yeah. And then I remember deciding right around the time that I reached out to Stephanie, because I was like, I need a friend. Deciding like, I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't me.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of this. And so like I broke off ties with everything. Like that whole relationship was explosive, and it was really easy to just make that explode. It was really easy to just explode that away and stuff. And Stephanie, I was really lucky with Stephanie coming in and kind of like holding my hand and being like, come with me to TFO, meet some other people. We party too, but in a different way.
Sure.
Like we just smoke a bunch of weed and, hang out and drink and joke around. And it was a different, it was way different feeling. It was like hanging out and partying, but it didn't feel so detrimental to like my future. It didn't feel so fucking.
It was the kind of getting fucked up mutually agreed.
Yeah. It didn't feel so like crackheady, like it was awful that time of my life. So I was really lucky to find, that Stephanie was willing to kind of take my hand and say, let me get your back on this one. And then I started doing movies with them, and like, that was great. And I met Josh and, got into ICUP, through Stephanie and everybody else too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's when Josh, Steph, and Jay were running the troupe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I came out. I don't even think I auditioned. I think she was just like, you need to come to this. You come be part of this.
Were you there for my audition?
I think I was there for your audition.
You know the laundry place right across, it's on P Street, right across from Press Club? There's a little laundry place. Directly across from that is where I auditioned. Some artsy gallery kind of building.
Oh, yeah. The green one. It's like the Geary Theater, maybe?
No, this was a different. Well, anyhow, that's where it was. And I remember I got invited to go out there and try it out. I was so scared.
Yeah.
So fucking scared. I was new to socializing like that. I'd always dreamt of being in front of an audience, but for different measures, like as a comedian, as a stand-up comedian. That was always the dream, And so going into that audition with all these other seemingly established working comedians, I was fucking sweating bullets.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's all or nothing. You get up there, you just fucking pour yourself out and see who digs it, Yeah. And you guys became like the extended family.
Yeah.
Probably changed my life in a lot of ways that I
don't even realize.
Don't really think about.
Yeah, I think we were really there for each other in more ways than we realized at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody was so uplifting,
Mm-hmm.
and we supported each other, especially when we saw a glimpse of some special stuff in one another.
Yeah.
You'd see something, you'd be like,
yes.
do that, do more of that.
Yeah, I want to help you cultivate that.
Yeah.
Let's grow that, make it bigger. Yeah. Yeah.
That was such a blessing.
So fun.
Yeah. That was a real special time
and just like laughing so much is its own therapy.
Yeah.
Being able to like laugh and know like, I'm going to see Mike tonight. He's going to make me laugh. That's such a fun, cool thing. And even like, some of my favorite rehearsals were at Skylar's house, because I feel like Skylar was more involved in those rehearsals.
Yeah.
And like, he even added his own little quirky element to our situation, and I love that. I like that we were all so close and stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You talked to
so much history there.
You talked to Ryan at all?
Yeah, I talked to Ryan.
Yeah.
We went and saw we went out there when we were pregnant and hung out at the Exploratorium for a little bit.
I did that. I went and saw him with my son.
Yeah, and then we when he was, I think he was here and we went out to lunch with Enzo when he was little and stuff. I try to see him whenever I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
definitely
good.
like follow his social media and stuff.
Yeah.
He's still weird. Like he should be.
He's so special.
He is.
He really is.
He really is.
I love him with my heart.
He was one of the best roommates I've ever had.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I could see that.
He was a really good roommate. And I was really nervous about moving in with a dude that I didn't super know.
Yeah.
And
Ryan's not a traditional dude.
no, he's not.
He's really not.
Yeah.
He's just a special space age kind of guy.
He's like, he reminds me of like, I don't know, like some intangible person, like a mixture of Einstein and like
yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe or something. Like
Totally.
some weird intangible person that I,
Yeah.
like had the pleasure to like read about. I don't even feel like I even like really hung out with him, but I don't know. He was a really good roommate.
Well, you've met his family, right?
Yeah, I love his parents.
Kind of,
Yeah, they're great.
explains why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
He's had good references
Yeah.
to be in relationships and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I want him to be happy. He's one of those people that I wish happiness for.
He had a breakup once, and
Haven't we all?
he contacted me, or we kept in touch. We haven't so much in the recent past, but he came out to hang out with me, and it was one of those nights where we deliberately got drunk together to bash his ex-partner. Mm-hmm. And it was such a fucking great, liberating time with my brother Ryan.
Yeah.
To sit on the back porch and be like, fuck her.
Yeah.
She's a fucking,
Yeah.
that was,
you have to go through that sometimes.
It was, and that's all it was just to be there for him and for him to indulge in that.
I don't know
pain.
which breakup you're talking about, but I agree. She was a...
Yeah, you pick. And, I mean,
well, when you dodge bullets, sometimes...
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe not. Maybe Ryan's no picnic to live with. Actually,
Actually, I know.
you
He's
know
pretty
that.
great.
So there goes that theory. Yeah. Anyways, well, what's on the forefront for you? What do you got planned? You're still running a business.
Mm-hmm. So this January we turned it into an LLC.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
That's
I
amazing.
have 3 employees.
Yeah.
I'm hiring 2 more probably. It's been really stressful because I'm like so not good at the paperwork part of things. Like it's something that I'm like begging John to help me with because I don't have the patience, the desire.
Yeah. That's the biggest part is the desire to do it.
I love all the other aspects of running my business.
Yeah.
Training people, imparting my wisdom, booking shows, talking to parents, doing the gigs, making costuming, all the other aspects. But like the paperwork part of it really makes me nervous. So I think that's been our biggest hurdle is just trying to make sure that we are doing things in a legit way. I've also gotten there's been some things I'll have a casual conversation with another owner of an entertainment company and they'll criticize me for something that I've made a choice about. And then it eats at me for days and days and days. And I have to rethink that choice. Am I making the right choice? Am I not? Am I or am I not? It's John and I were talking about it yesterday. It's literally owning your business is never, ever being able to walk away from it. I can never, ever be okay, done for the day. Gonna go.
Yeah.
It's never like that.
Right.
That part's hard for me.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful and and I react very emotionally to things that happen, So if my employee is late to their gig, I take on a lot of the stress that I can't control any of that,
Totally.
but, that part's been hard for me to grow in that way. Also, it's been really hard for me to, how do I say this? I guess this whole time I've been working with people who I also consider friends. Mm-hmm. And it's time for me now to start hiring people who are not my friends in order for my business to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a thing that's been doubly hard to navigate is trying to maintain a good relationship, but also trying to be a good boss and also maintain a good working business.
Well, at least you've recognized that you've got to get some unbiased experience with people working for you. Yeah, because you got to make some hard decisions, and when you have a different invested, type of relationship with people,
it makes every decision
harder
because it's got a bunch of attachments to it.
Yeah.
But we're doing really good. We are making strides in our growth that make me super proud. Like gigs that I was working 6 years ago by myself, just sitting at a table that they let me borrow, working like for the bare minimum that they could pay me.
Yeah.
Now has turned into like we run the entire kids zone for that event, and it's now they're giving me 8 or 9 times the amount of money that they used to give me. So like because we've grown and proven ourselves as like we can handle this. So we're getting a lot of bigger bookings, which is so fucking cool. It feels like finally awesome. We broke into something. So it feels good.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's so exciting. And I think, I think you're supposed to have some real challenges like you do. Not that I wouldn't want to take that away from you. That's part of growing as an entrepreneur. I think you're supposed to deal with the headaches and not be able to shut it off for a while. Yeah. And then when you can afford to step back a little bit, then you've earned it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then whatever fruitful life you're living, you'll know how to manage that part of it because you'll have earned it, and you'll not let any of it go to waste or go in, some unproductive, path. You'd make sure all of your little tentacles out there are doing what they're supposed to, good and bad.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest fear in doing any big project is like destroying friendships.
Yeah.
I feel like that happened with me and Danielle.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have happened that way.
Well, okay, but it happened. Yeah. What have you done, or would you do anything to reconcile that friendship?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot really to reconcile. I think there was like a misunderstanding, and that led to hurt feelings, and then that led to like just ignoring each other altogether. Yeah. But that's all water under the bridge. I wish her nothing but happiness and success. Like I've been watching First Festival from afar, hoping and rooting for her, for it to be successful, and for her to be successful in everything she does. She's going to be fucking president of the United States one day. Like,
agreed, yeah.
She's going to be something huge and amazing. She is already something huge and amazing. I would love to be friends with her again.
Do you know we have an on-running joke with her? I have this little joke with her. We went to a party at one point, I think at Ray's house. I don't remember who Ray... I think Ray and Josh were living together at some point. Maybe. An apartment. Anyway, so we went to Ray's house, and Danielle was there, and I knew, I know of her work, her outreach work, and, the kind of person she is in entrepreneurship and all that. And I remember I was teasing her. I was like, you're really just like some rich lady...
gallivanting around.
Yeah. I'm like, you probably had some homeless guy jump on your car, and you're like, get off my car. Like,
and then had a change of heart, and it's like, I need to find what he really feels like, so I'll be one of... No.
Yeah, clean your window, get off my car. So that's been the ongoing joke with her, is that I texted her on Instagram. I was like, can you be on the podcast? I was like, just let me know, or get off my car. Let me know.
That's great.
Yeah. But she's a superhuman.
She is a superhuman. And she's very talented, and she's got more empathy than I think a lot of people can even work to have. Yeah. She's got it like built in already, which is an amazing thing for a brilliant person to have. Yeah. Usually it's one or the other.
Right. To stay connected to humanity like that. It's a big deal. I'm interested in her story. I want to know what all that's bred from, because from what I understand, there's a possible, contradiction happening in the background where she could have been completely different from how she is, justifiably, but she's not. She's a role model of sorts.
She is.
Yeah. Well, then maybe I plan on talking to her soon. I'll be like, hey, I actually said for you to call her. No, I won't. I won't meddle. But I'm just, I'm glad to hear you say that. And plus, you're too
I don't
busy.
harbor mean, hurtful feelings towards many people at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so. You're too busy trying to make life happen.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So the name of is Pixie Tribe?
Yep, Pixie Tribe Entertainment.
You have a website?
Yep. PixieTribe.net.
I used to plug in things on. You've been on the documentary, but that was nothing to do with your.
That was for, we just filmed part of yeah. I'm doing a lot of projects.
Okay, so you got.
I've never been on a documentary that's just about my children's entertainment company. It's Mermaid related.
Yeah.
The documentaries that I'm part of.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
About working at Dive Bar or about putting on the Mermaid convention.
Yeah. And you do parties for children as characters, and you hire actors to play characters, and you guys run like a little child's play area.
Yeah, basically we have activities like magic shows, face painting, balloon twisting. I've added a couple more, like we do giant bubble shows now, or we like put a kid in a bubble, dance parties, different things. So we just show up and bring the fun.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful situation because we literally get to, one of the first things I tell my employees before I hire them is, you're not a nanny, you're not a babysitter, and you're not there to reprimand or say no. You're only there to be like an instant gratification for all these kids and what they want for 90 minutes, and then you leave. And that's your only goal. So for us, it's beautiful because if a child is like, Billy hit me with a thing, we can literally say, oops, that sounds like a grown-up problem. Better go tell a grown-up.
Yeah.
Like, you just get to only play. You just have only the fun parts that you're working with, you know? And most people are thrilled with you and want to shower you in compliments, and it's a really beautiful thing. There's very, very rare cases where I have people upset with me.
Yeah.
And it's usually because I can't stay longer. I can't do more. I can't give them a turn too. And honestly, that's
a
okay.
nice problem to have.
That's a good problem to have. Yeah. It's the most gratifying work I've ever done. I've done a lot of different things.
Yeah. Which is why you're still doing it.
Yeah.
And running a business.
But I do love it. It's really fun. It's definitely the thing I feel is the thing I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
I don't really want to be like an old clown. I kind of have a fear about that. Like I don't want to be a 45-year-old clown.
Yeah, I know that feeling very well.
But I think that I'm learning a lot. I think I've learned a lot working in the Bay Area for the Princess Company. I learned a lot. I contributed a lot. I also left with a ton of knowledge. Putting events on, putting the California Mermaid Convention on. I think all of these things, working at Dive Bar, seeing how the intricacies of running a tank and stuff, all of these things really lend to me running my own venue one day.
Yeah.
And I think that
I like it.
I could do well into my 80s.
Yeah, definitely.
Hire a bunch of young
legacy, huh?
mermaids to throw them in the tank.
Yeah.
All you beautiful young mermaids get in the tank. I'll just sit here and count the cash behind the bar.
Isn't that in part of maybe that's a different documentary. There's a documentary about these older women who used to work in some.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Wiki Watchy Springs mermaids.
Yeah. That's kind of what you're going for. You want some kind of a business that's like that.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I would love something that's essentially like Dive Bar, but for families.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be in Sacramento. It could be somewhere close. Mm-hmm. But I think it would make a killing. And honestly, not just that, but there's some businesses in San Francisco that are like just party tea houses. Yeah. That's all they do is serve cakes and teas, and people book parties. I think the Bay Area is exactly where you need. I think you'll have a nice house in Monterey. And you'll have a business right by the aquarium. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a place for it. Yeah, absolutely. There definitely is. So we'll see. I'm learning a lot. I'm kind of one of those people that just like I keep my head down and do my job as best I can. I stand up for myself, but I'm also like gleaning as much information as I possibly can. I feel like every opportunity is a learning opportunity. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to learn. Yeah. We'll see where that turns into. Yeah. Making a lot of awesome connections. Like putting the convention on. I know it sounds like such a small little niche thing being a mermaid, but the community is so connected that at our convention we had mermaids come out from all over the country, Texas, Utah, Florida, Oregon, all over the country, but we also had mermaids come from Canada. We had mermaids coming from Argentina, want to like really far.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so we're connecting with people and we're creating these like relationships through this little niche community of people all over the world that are doing really unique things with their lives.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's cool. It's really cool to be like invited to Fort Lauderdale to go swim in someone else's mermaid tank bar.
Yeah,
like that
totally.
shit's fucking cool, you know? Like
yeah.
so
One of the perks.
yeah, I don't know. I worked in a cubicle for a long time and it was awful. And I think if I ever have to do that again, I'm probably going to kill myself.
I hear ya. Well, I'm getting desperate, which is, you know, desperate in the sense that I don't really want to work for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
I really don't. You know, it's weird getting scolded for as an adult, like, you know, you shouldn't do that. Well, like,
All right.
I don't really want to
Yeah,
be
I'm
here
aware of that.
either.
That's why I made that choice. Cause,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, I mean, but it is what it is, and it's a good thing. I think, you know, people should have jobs and should be thankful, which I am. But, you know, I don't want to drive trucks forever,
Yeah.
you know.
Seems
and,
like rough, tiring.
well, think
hard.
about the environment. I'm in a truck all day in traffic. My truck is stick shift, by the way. So, so it's like I'm dealing with that in traffic. I cut people off sometimes. I'm, you know, the jerk driver in a big truck. And so it, and then climbing in and out of a truck, not being in the best shape. All those things matter when I'm sizing up my current lifestyle, you know, but.
So what are you thinking? You want to do podcasts and stuff? What do you?
So here's the thing. Like, this is just a start in exercising creativity.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm in a position to be able to produce something like this, so I'm doing it. If it brings others, because listening to myself over and over, realizing that I'm not as smart as I want to be, but I think I have a niche with people. I think that I can connect with people pretty easily.
Yeah.
And as long as I at some point learn to shut the fuck up and let the people talk that I'm interviewing, that'll be what this thing is going to be about ultimately. I think because it's new, I still feel the need to get some of my things out there and kind of give the world who I am. And then, you know, most importantly, to let people know, like, I'm not always going to be this, you know, I'm evolving too.
Right.
And I think through my preferred way to learn is through people. And that's what I'm doing, is just publicizing my own growth and education. I'd like to end up doing film at some point. I'd like to do stand-up.
Doing film, like you want to be an actor in films?
I want to do it all. I want
Okay.
to direct films. I want to act in films. I want to, you know, I think in terms of acting, my niche there is character acting.
Yeah.
I think, but I need much more training. I need more exposure. I
know, like, why isn't Margarita putting on this podcast?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have all these voices in my head that need a home.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying the role play thing. Like, maybe I can introduce some of that into this, and maybe, who knows where it'll go. You know, also doing this alone adds a different element of learning too. Like, with a scatterbrain, like, I have to learn at my pace, whereas maybe at some point I'll partner up with somebody and it'll bring in a new angle,
Set of energy, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be good, which is, I'm fine with that too, you know. But yeah, if this leads to other things, great. But if this just falls apart, and then I'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
You know. Welcome back.
Welcome back to John.
Hubby's home.
Hubby's home.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to ride some tiny trains.
Where is he? With Grandma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Out front, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going back out.
Yeah, we'll go back out.
They're going back out.
Okay. You okay? Do you need anything? You want some water?
You want a kiss?
Do you want a kiss? But it's hot in there.
It is hot in
It
there.
gets so nasty hot in the garage.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. When I was watching that show, Wilderness, it inspired me to do something, you know, masculine, like build something.
Oh, yeah?
And
What'd
so
you build?
I built a workbench out of old pallets.
Okay.
I'll show you.
Good.
Yeah. So I spent 8 hours in the garage building it.
So that's why you know. That's how you
Bye,
know the
John.
garage is so hot.
Yeah. And then I was sore for the rest of the week.
That's a pretty good table.
Yeah, not bad for never having built
That's not
a table.
it's not a Michael Scott table.
I don't know what that is. So Michael Scott table.
He's like, do you watch The Office?
Oh, yeah.
He has some people over for dinner, and he's like, this is the table that I built, and it literally is like 4 pieces of scrap wood, like barely holding itself together. Yeah, that's great. Look at your garage; it's so organized with your tools and stuff.
It's grown up, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You should look at my garage. Yeah, there's a mermaid skeleton hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, but you're in the business. I mean, it makes sense for you to have stuff like that. You know. Yeah, my girlfriend Adriana, she's very different from me. She's a lot more conservative, but she's a grown up. You know, like she bought her house.
It's hot, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the very first things that attracted me to John. I was oh shit, you got a real job, and you're paying your own bills.
Yeah.
And you're not relying on anyone else.
Yeah.
That's sexy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, was somebody who's on top of their game, and she was.
Oh, here he comes. Don't tell him I said that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to make that head any bigger. But yeah, she had her shit together. Yeah. And that was a big appeal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even to this day, like, we still, like, she's my best friend. I've never experienced that before, sad to say. You know, I mean, relationships had pluses and minuses in the past, but I never felt so understood by my partner to this point where, you know, like you and John, you know, you guys still have, you know, that romance going because you're friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's, I think we're really good friends.
Yeah. And that's us too. Like, we have our own language and everything.
Yeah.
Silly.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that's where I spend most of my time, is being a grown up at home with this, you know, conservative young lady.
That's so good though.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. So life is good.
I feel like we're leading into relationship talk, but I don't want to do relationship talk when my husband's right there.
We can wait till he's gone.
And stuff in the fridge.
No, well, you know what? We'll tap into that. I'll ask a couple other questions, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay, sounds
good. But yeah, let's dive into that relationship stuff when your handsome hubby gets out of here.
Hey, get off my car.
Nothing. We're going to talk about...
Waiting for me to leave?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we don't have to.
We don't have to. You want to? Can you hear
Does that
it?
make weird noises?
See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Got your snacks. Bye.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Are you losing weight?
Yeah,
You
he
are losing
is.
weight, aren't you?
He is.
So it's waterway.
It's fine. It's weight is weight.
He's lifting weights and stuff all the time, like
He's
4
getting
times
back
a week.
into it.
Yeah.
Good for him.
It's good for him. The weightlifting thing is
It's
good.
important.
Yeah, he really wants me to be part of it, and I'm trying to, but I think I need to like rustle up my own motivation to, you know, it can't be like the thing that he wants me to do. I have to want it for myself.
Yeah, that's how
in order
it
for it to
works.
work. Yeah, and he knows, like, you know, he listens to podcasts about weight training, and he knows that all the husbands out there, like, don't even try to train your wife. It doesn't work. Like, don't even go there.
Yeah.
So he knows that it'll be a hurdle, I think, to get us both on the same page, like lifting weights consistently together.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm down.
You're down to do things with him.
Yeah, I am. I'm not super motivated by that thing.
Well, no.
That particular thing.
Yeah.
We've been taking the baby out for trips on this Lake Natoma. They rent kayaks out.
Nice.
So that's been really fun. Like
Yeah.
a family thing that we've been doing.
Hell yeah.
Going and renting a kayak, a double kayak, and the 3 of us just go for it.
That's awesome.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so special.
Yeah.
Those moments are the best. Yeah. One time, a few years back, the lake that me and Declan are going to today, it was I was off on a Monday. It was the day after Father's Day, and he was with his mom on actual Father's Day. So I thought, well, I'm going to make up for my own,
Missed Father's Day.
So I took him up to this lake, which I had delivered to a camp up there for my job, and that's how I knew about it. And I took him up there, and nobody was there. Nobody. They were open, like the little boat shop where you could rent a fishing boat, which is what we did. So we went up there. We were literally the only people on this giant lake.
That's so awesome.
Just floating around. Dad and his son.
Yeah.
It was my own, like, Father's Day gift
Hell
to myself.
yeah.
Yeah, that place became like a little special nugget in my life, that Fallen Leaf Lake. I suggest, check it out one day. Go
Yeah.
up there, and it's this 1-lane road, all these nice, beautiful homes along the road. And if somebody's coming the opposite direction, you have to pull off.
Because it's that narrow.
Yeah. And it's all at the edge of this lake. It's a quiet, calm lake, Fallen Leaf Lake. And we're going to go try to find a campsite up there today. I bought a little axe. We'll do some boy stuff together.
You're going to make a table.
Yeah, make a table. Yeah.
You're going to make a wood table.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. That's great.
Those are good moments. So, relationships. You guys have been together how long?
Let's see. I think we secretly started dating. Actually, you were the first person that busted us out in front of people because you could tell. Remember that? Remember when we showed up?
I was like, hey, where you guys going?
Yeah, you were like, hey, where are you going? Where are you guys going together? And we were like, shut the fuck up. Can you not shut up?
I remember.
And then we walked out. We were like, Mike knows. Mike knows. Like, that's too because Ryan knows because he lives with me.
Well, Ryan was a good friend of mine back then. And
yeah, I'm sure he
Ryan and
gave
I
a
were
look.
like,
You guys were looking at each other
oh,
like, what?
really?
Yeah. I guess Ryan was like, told John, like, don't bother her. You leave her alone at first,
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that energy?
And honestly, and I've told John this before, I would have never assumed that I was going to fall in love with him. Like,
I think that was kind of the thing. Nobody thought that was going to happen.
No.
Nobody thought that.
That was totally out of the blue.
But that's how it goes. Opposites, I think, attract. Same with mine. Like, nobody thought me and her were going to, me and Adriana were going to end up together. She's like this classy ass woman. And I'm like this goofball driver,
You're like, honk, honk.
Yeah. Hey, lady.
Hey, lady. You're so pretty. Come here. Come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did.
Yeah,
He worked his magic.
He did work his magic.
You know what? He was telling me about it in our podcast, and it sounds like he was just such a gentleman with you. Like, you guys established contact. He let you know that, in his own way that he thought you were special, and then just edged towards you when it felt appropriate.
Yeah. It was really funny. We were like casually dating and kissing and hanging out and stuff. And I remember that I was hanging out at this ambulance station. He was working on the ambulance then. So he was like on duty, right? And I'm hanging out in the ambulance station, like watching TV with him and his partner. And we were like somewhere, like his partner was watching TV. We were talking some other room, right? And I remember he started to breach that subject of like, hey, I want to be exclusive with you, And as soon as he started, and we've been together hanging out for like 4 or 5 hours at that point. There was plenty of time for him to bring it up at any point. As soon as he started bringing it up, they got a call on the walkie. And so he had to he was already 2 sentences into this sentiment, right? And he had to quickly, while he was getting dressed and putting his clothes on and answering the walkie and responding to an emergency call, he had to finish up and tell me hey, I don't really want to sleep with anybody else. So if you don't want to sleep with anybody else, that'd be cool. We could just sleep with each other, And it was just this hilarious, I feel like that's what our relationship has always been. This these beautiful moments of pure honesty and passion and truth, but just in a hilarious way.
Yeah.
It's
its own romance.
Yeah. I've never ever cracked so many jokes before fucking someone in my life.
Yeah.
Literally moments before fucking that person, I'm cracking jokes with him. That's a different kind of relationship than I've ever had. In my life, and I don't think I could ever have anything other than that.
Not anymore.
Now that I've had this, it's you have to stay with me now forever because
it's almost scary when you think about it too long. How important it is to you. Same way with me. I don't even think about that anymore because
it's too big of a.
I'll deal with that if it ever happens.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to happen.
Leading up to that point, I'm just going to be here in the now with this and try not to screw things up.
Yeah. I think us getting together, John and I getting together, made a lot of people feel a lot of certain ways, which is interesting to me. Because, again, just not liking those 2 guys kissing on the street, just go about your day and fucking move on from it, right? That was a weird thing, because we felt like we lost friendships.
Yeah.
Over simply.
Yeah. I understand. It affects, it's weird how your relationship affects your circle.
Yeah.
And
Especially whenever you're friends before. I think that was tricky.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
Yeah, totally.
Because they're like, hey, we sorted this dynamic out.
Yeah.
We were all on the same page.
Right.
Now you guys are messing it up.
What are you doing to us?
Yeah.
It's none of their fucking business. But it's just growth, like you grow out of those relationships. And if they're not meant to be, then they're not meant to be. That's why some people are treasures, because they don't give a fuck what you're doing, who you're with. They may have some input, but that's all based on what they know about, your needs and what you say you want. But they all understand how life works, and that handful of people, it doesn't matter who you're with, they are who they are with you all the time.
Yeah.
You know what
regardless.
I mean? And those are the ones that are your real friends, because they don't really hold you to any sort of expectation.
Yeah, it's not, what do you call it? It's not conditional.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It seems so rare sometimes. It feels like, where are these people? Why does the world seem so messed up?
Yeah.
And there's only a handful of people that really understand me,
Right.
But yeah, that's good that you and John love each other as much as you do. It gives me a lot of hope.
Good.
It gives me a lot of hope. I honestly was skeptical when I first learned of it. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I hope that he's not a douchebag. I hope he's not going to, harm her. And I was, I think, a little bit more biased towards you because, you watch my kid and, we were friends. But yeah, in the end, it was more like, well, if they're fucking happy, who gives a shit?
Yeah. And at this point, it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
It's like.
And you're still, just as happy as, yeah.
Yeah. Life is different. We've got a kid now, which changed so much. People say that to you, or even they don't. Like, I feel like it's my duty as a mother to say as loud as I can that it's fucking hard, because I feel like maybe I didn't hear that enough before I became a mother. Because like the level of difficulty just day to day managing a whole other person's well-being and yours, and like trying to get through this milestone and then that milestone and keep them alive and the whole thing. Like, you can't even sleep because you're worried that they're not breathing.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Being able to navigate that, I think, is really tough for a relationship.
Yeah.
I totally get why people break up when they have a baby.
Yeah. It certainly brings out your worst in how you cope with stress.
Yes. It
because I think that's really what it is learning to cope with stress. And if you don't have the tools, things get messy.
Oh, yeah.
And, what you're doing to yourself, it could be toxic, and that leaks into somebody else's life. And how long do they put up with it? How long should they put up with it?
Yeah.
You grow, and sometimes you grow apart.
I didn't know that I would be so bad at handling like sleep deprivation. That was hard for me. Not sleeping made me furious.
Yeah.
Anytime that I talked to some other adults who have kids and stuff, and it was nice to hear, like one of my friends said, he said, before my twins turned 2, I think I'd punched a hole in every room in the house. Yeah. In the wall, and it helped me to hear that, honestly, because
Totally.
I was like, is something wrong with me? Like, why am I so
shame and guilt for feeling that way?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So all the people who are like, I'm not having kids, I'm like, that's fine. That's a good decision.
Yeah.
If you think and feel that way now, stick to that, because it makes everything so much more complicated. It's not a bad thing, but it changes.
Yeah. I don't think there's any real way to prepare for what it's going to do to you specifically. I would say that no matter what, whether you're going to have children knowingly or not, get to know yourself and focus on who you are under pressure. Find out who you are under pressure. Go get a hard job. Go do something fucking difficult. Or
be alone for a little while.
Be alone. Whatever scares you.
Yeah.
Go do that. Because when you're a parent, it's never going to... That stuff doesn't go away. Now you got to think that way for somebody else. Yeah. So you need to know who you are under pressure. And the shame and the guilt thing, that really does a number on you when you feel like you're not a good parent because you're dealing with something. Like you need support. And that's another thing, is being vulnerable enough to admit I need support.
Yeah.
I need to know, am I doing all right? Because this poor guy,
Right.
you know,
He just screams regardless. So yeah. It's hard.
It's just that it's hard.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. But then, you know, like going back to the whole being in nature thing, you know, we have to take ownership of the fact that we live in a different society. We got to go to work and bust our ass, pour ourselves into that, then come home and have enough to be a dad or a mom.
Right.
And nobody should really be blamed for how difficult that is for them and how their attitude is. And then you think we go out in public and we deal with people who can be assholes. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't know what they're dealing with.
Yep.
You don't know.
Everybody's got their own.
You know, we walk by these mass shooters all the time and we're closed off. And I think that's what we need to focus on, is forget the guns, don't worry about that.
Focus on human connection.
Focus on you. Who are you? What pressures are you dealing with? What drugs are you on? You know, what help do you need? And open yourself up to help and start there. People always get overwhelmed with the question of, you know, how are we going to save the planet? What are we going to do to change everything? It's easy to think, what the hell could I do? I'm just one person. Well,
right.
That's the problem. Is that you're one person whose life trickles into other person's lives.
Right.
And if you are operating at high levels and are performing well and taking care of yourself and can mitigate stress, and then you're doing your job. That is what your responsibility is. It boils down to that. And anything beyond that's none of your fucking business anyway.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, and anybody who tells you differently they got their head in somebody else's ass. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You take care of you. Yeah. What else? Is there anything else you want to get out? Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
No, I didn't really think of things that I wanted to talk about.
How do you feel so far? Is there anything that we've touched on that you kind of want to add to?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, good. You feel complete?
I feel like I've
got it out.
I've let it out without any filters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How often do you sit and have long conversations with friends?
Not very often. I think a lot of times I'm finding myself having these conversations intermixed with work, having to get work done, right? So like the woman who I put the convention on with, Rachel, I would consider her probably one of my closest friends right now. But all of our conversation, we hardly ever just get together just to have casual conversation. We talk to each other and support each other and have casual conversation in the work that we're doing.
Sure.
But it's always mixed in the work.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
I rarely just sit and have a conversation with anybody because I got a 2-year-old, and
because you're busy.
if I'm talking, he's like, "Mama, shut your mouth."
Yeah.
I'm screaming.
Yeah.
What do you say? Mama, shut mouth now.
Yeah.
Mama, shut mouth.
Yeah. I think this is important, you know. It's been therapeutic for me.
I bet.
And I almost feel like a vampire who hasn't drank enough since the last podcast. Or podcast.
The podcast.
Padcast.
The podcast.
The Padcastal.
You need more.
Yeah, I feel like a heroin addict.
Well, now that I've done my bit, I'll go back and listen. Because you've released Josh's, right? Mm-hmm. Any other ones? Just his?
So Josh, my brother-in-law, and my friend Nick, who's a salesman. I worked in home improvement sales for
that's right.
a while, like 3 months.
Yeah.
Which was weird. It was door to door. We were in people's houses trying to sell them things they didn't need.
I hate it.
Yeah, I hated it too.
That kind of stuff really gets my soul shriveled up quick.
Yeah.
That selling people things they don't need.
I sold a woman I sold her a roof for like $36,000. And
she didn't need it, or
well, here's the horrible thing is I was like, yeah, finally I sold something. I gotta find somebody else to sell something. It just took over. It was like a sense of greed kind of took over. Like, oh, I need I need to, schmooze somebody else into buying something they don't.
Because were you working on commission?
Mm-hmm. Only commission only.
Oh,
no
that's
benefits.
even worse.
Yeah, and this guy
It's
Nick.
very sharky territory.
Well, and it kind of has to be. It's a survival tactic in the industry. If you're only making what you sell, you kind of have to put aside some of that stuff. But with Nick, we were on a couple of very interesting sells that bonded us for life. We were partnered up. What happens is if the company doesn't have a bunch of leads for the day, they'll partner you up. Well, you go cold calling, or you follow up with people, or they'll partner you up with the same lead, and then you split the commission. So we were sent to this lady's house in South Sac, and we didn't know what to expect. We go knock on the door. It's already South Sac, so we're kind of like, I don't know. And she opens the door, and she's got a purple ski cap on. She's got lipstick kind of all over her face.
Okay.
She's like chewing on a popcorn kernel, and she talks like Bernie Mac.
Okay.
And you look in the house through the crack of the door, and there's a TV's on. There's like a gumball machine on the floor. There's popcorn and chips kind of all over the floor. There's magazine cutouts on every wall.
Okay.
It's almost like in a movie where there's serial killers got all these magazine cutouts. That's kind of what she had going on. Our kitchen was piles of dishes and all kinds of crap. It was a mess.
Like a hoarder's home?
Yeah, yeah. She was a mess. And you could tell she was mentally ill and she had something going on, but she was totally unsupervised. I was ready to leave as soon as she opened the door. But Nick decided, let's go try to sell a window to this lady.
Oh, my goodness.
He wanted some experience. And so we went inside. And part of the way through that, as Nick is going through his script of sell points, she's waiting for Nick to do what he's doing with numbers. And she has this like Halloween witch doll. And she has another doll. And they start talking to each other. And she's telling this doll that she's going to go home with Nick now. And she's serious. And she starts getting in an argument with these dolls. And like she's having a full-on conversation. And I'm like looking at Nick like, can we go now? Yeah. And then she opens up her pantry and it's this little store she's made out of her dollar store trips. She's got little knickknacks. She's got little wrapped up sponges. It's her own little. So that was... She was an ex-dog catcher.
Did she buy the window?
No.
Damn.
I know. So that was one experience, and then the other one was I looked up the name we were going to sell. For whatever reason, I just thought, all right, well, we're on our way. I'll just Google this guy and see what I come up with. I pulled up his Megan's Law account.
No.
Yeah. You'd have thought we wouldn't have gone.
No, but
we
you went
did.
well with commission. You got to get that commission.
I think what it was really about was, the commission, but it was really about us like diving into some weird realm together.
At that point, it was like past
like,
just selling.
Who are you in this setting? Like, what are you going to do with this challenge? And I was the same way. Like, I want to see what I'm like, because we have to go and find something relatable with somebody you would think you have nothing in common with. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day...
And you have to do it quickly. You have to do it in you have to suss out what that is quickly or you're going to lose the sale. Yeah. Yeah, I did sales for a long time.
It's bizarre.
That was when I got... I worked at an ice cream shop. That was my very first job. Cold Stone Creamery in the Arden Fair Mall. And then I got... what do you call... Like, the guy that worked at the Verizon wireless booth, he, poached me from the ice cream shop, essentially. Yeah. He told me hey, you're really good at talking to people. You'd make a good salesperson. You should put your application in and take a position here. And so I did. I just moved 20 feet over to the Verizon wireless kiosk. Yeah. And started selling cell phones very lightly. Selling from a kiosk like that, it's not a lot of business. Sure. But I got pretty good at it, and they put me in a flagship store. And I was 19, and I was making serious money on commission. And I remember doing things like coming into work and working through 103-degree fever, falling down because I wanted to make my commission. Wow. Stuff like that, Wow. And it took me a little while to realize this makes me a shitty person. This makes me feel bad. I don't actually like it. And the money is not really worth it. Yeah. Because you just end up having the same problems anyway. Yeah. But it did take me a little while to figure that out. I did Verizon wireless sales for like 3 or 4 years. And then I got a job at Amy's Casual Living, which is right next door to Amy's Hardware. Do you know Amy's Hardware? It's been there for like 100 years on El Camino. Anyway, the casual living part of them is like their outdoor patio furniture.
Yeah.
So I was selling outdoor patio furniture,
Yeah.
which was like such a stretch. You know, just like selling whatever I could sell.
Not so much pressure.
Yeah, like I'm not, and also like I'm not motivated by patio furniture at all. Like, so it was a fun, interesting thing. But then in the winter, they wanted us to like change to their Christmas tree. We were like fluffing fake Christmas trees, and I was like, "Fuck this, I quit."
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a tree fluffer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'll sell shit during the summertime, but
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fluff these trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then that's the last of the sales that I did because I was like, this makes me feel kind of awful.
Wow. But you experienced the crazy hardcore sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working for the cell
How much
phone
were you
company.
making?
I was probably making. I remember making like $1,500 or $1,800 a paycheck. So probably, I was probably like pulling like $3,200 a month at 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was living with my, I think I was
Yeah.
living with my mom, or I was living in like a roommate situation where my rent was $200 or
Sure,
something.
sure.
So I felt like I had a bunch of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I bought my car. I didn't like buy a car, but I took a lease out on a car and put some money down on my first car through that job and stuff. It taught me a lot, but I felt like I had to really give up a lot of who I was to just straight lie to people and sell them things that they didn't need so that I could hit my numbers and make my money. Yeah. And that was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the part that always kind of got me. I kind of knew that instinctively going into it. Like, I think this isn't going to work out, but I mean, people always say you're great with people. Why don't you try it out? So I did. And I think I used the excuse that we didn't have benefits. I have my son, I need benefits. Right. But at the end of the day, I think like all things, I just wasn't into it. Yeah. And I didn't want it to work because I don't want to give myself up like that. That's the thing,
right? Like it's so hard to say that out loud, but that's the reason why everything that has failed in my life has failed, because I really didn't want it. Yeah. The things I do want, I succeed at those things. Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. That's true. It is whatever's truly in your heart. That's the thing about the law of attraction, is that's only one side of it, verbalizing it. Mm-hmm. It's living that question, being the embodiment of what you want. And every decision has something to do with going, getting to that direction. End goal. Yeah. That's what happens is that, once you gain the awareness of your decisions and how they impact your reality.
Once you can focus on it, right?
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
It feels more attainable.
It is. And it doesn't really, you can harness it, because over the last 3 years, me and Adriana have accomplished some things that we really just dreamt together. We started going to model homes to get ideas on decorating. Yeah. Now our house looks like a model home. Yeah. We're all like, we are living in the dream. And so we're like, what else can we make happen? Yeah. So now we go to big, like fancy estates. We'll drive around neighborhoods and see these big mansions and houses and stuff. And I'm like, look, I know materialism is not the greatest thing, but fuck it. I want this. Mm-hmm. I want this. I want to make it happen. And she's like, well, then let's do it. Yeah. And so if for anything, it is just to keep that karma harnessed and to experience that kind of success. Like, I think that's kind of what we're looking at here.
You got to dream, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to, or you're going to get stuck. You get stuck in this boring ass human world. Bunch of adults doing adult shit, standing in line.
Yeah. Getting mad at each other.
Getting mad at each other over what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and John, you both give me hope, not just in relationships, but just in people. You guys as parents, you're amazing parents. You're amazing together. You're amazing, people in the community. The fact that you do what you do and you love it. That's a big difference, like you love the kids, you love the relationship with the kids. You love what you offer the families when you go there. When these families experience your business, it enhances their experience as a family. Their kids are, they live these fantasies, and now, they're happy parents, happy kids. It's a good vibration to be a part of.
Yeah, it is.
So even though I've felt that good people are a little scarce lately, you guys have definitely, given me hope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We feel like you're good people too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one other thing I wanted to ask you. How nice is it to have a fucking medical professional living with you?
It is, where it came into play, the most pertinent part of my life so far where it's come into play is during the birth of our son.
Yeah.
He never left me for like 14 hours. I think he got up to go pee once. He did not leave my side. And not only did he not leave my side, but he was present. He wasn't just sitting next to me on his phone. He was present in all the moments that I was in with me. And he was so good that the nurses asked him if he would be interested, in working there. That's how good he was. And he's a dude. All these nurses were women. There's not a bunch of dudes in that maternity ward working there. The anesthesiologist was a dude and the respiratory therapist was a dude, but the nurses who are right there with you are mostly all women.
Yeah.
And for them to say that to him, I thought that was a really big compliment.
That's cool.
Honestly. And he made me feel safe and empowered and strong and all the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, him understanding, I think in our society, women are made to be kind of like these, we can do just anything and everything all the time, and we don't ever need to recharge, and we're just capable of pulling the whole weight of the family and birthing the children and immediately pleasing our husband 3 weeks later, and it's impossible.
Yeah.
So for him to walk into the situation of us having a child together with all the medical knowledge of what it is going to put my body through made him have a different level of understanding of what I was going through in the situation. So I was never ever made to feel badly or lesser or inadequate for any of the fallout that comes along with having a baby.
Of course, yeah.
Which was amazing. I think a lot of women they deal with having a baby, but then also having to manage their husband.
Right. They've got a boy.
Right.
In the midst who's becoming a man.
Yeah. So it was one less thing that I had to manage.
Yeah.
I mean, he was literally I was breastfeeding our baby and he'd literally be feeding me scrambled eggs that he made for me, feeding me with a fork, you know. It was beautiful, beautiful time. I think him taking 6 weeks off with me at the beginning of Enzo's life was one of the most important decisions that we made. It was good for all of us. Yeah.
And you feel like without that, you would have had a much, much harder time.
Yes.
With the lack of sleep and.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I already had a really hard time.
Yeah.
Anyway, and just your body changes so much and your hormones are refluctuating and it's really intense.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really intense. And there's also a lot of pain that I didn't know. I mean, it's going to be painful. You expect that. But there's lingering pain that I didn't know I'd have to deal with for weeks afterwards. My tailbone hurt really bad, just sore all the time.
Yeah.
And my little coccyx here at the bottom of my rib cage, just because the way you have to push and the stuff, it was sore and bruised for 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
And it's interesting just because no one ever said that to me. No one ever said, oh, your little tailbone's going to hurt really bad. For, stuff like that. Having him be so knowledgeable and aware, and then also just the kind of person he is. I'm sure there are nurses who know all this stuff, but don't act the way that he acted.
Yeah.
He really put it into play and was super supportive and stuff.
It sounds like there would be such a huge benefit to fathers who are new fathers having a class or some kind of training like that. Man, that would make life.
That was another thing too. We went to a bunch of classes before. Yeah. I think it was more for me. I was just really nervous.
Sure.
Than for him, because it's all stuff he's already gone through in his nursing education. But yeah, we went to a bunch of classes together and those were weird and fun.
Yeah.
He did so good. I was so impressed. I was really proud of myself because that shit was hella hard.
Yeah.
But I was super happy with him and just
kind of sealed the deal on.
Oh yeah, I was
Mr. Forever.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a blessing.
It was really good.
Good for you guys. I'm jealous.
Oh.
It's funny because Adriana, she's got 2 older boys. One's just graduated high school. The other one's 23.
Wow.
And Declan being 10, but it's a different relationship with him. She's just a woman in his life,
Right.
that is my girlfriend, and they have their own their personalities are very different. So there's that. There's all these different aspects to that part of my family that make it unique. But it would we fantasize sometimes having a little girl together.
Yeah.
We think that'd be cute. So, but we're fine. We're happy.
Yeah.
We take our frustrations out on the dogs at this point. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. I guess that'll work.
That'll work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
This is fun.
And tell all the mermaids, said it's just an attitude.
Yeah, it is. It is. Not all mermaids have tails, okay?
Just keep checking in on them.
It's a mentality.
Yeah.
Well, everyone I ever meet goes here in this book. And now I met you, and you're going in the book.
I'm just a wandering nomad out on the interstate. Eventually all these roads just end up looking the same. I'm just a wandering nomad out on the interstate. Eventually all these roads just end up looking the same.
Check mic 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Check mic 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mike Haley in the mix. Biatch.